when did you first meet the two of you? When did you first meet each other?
You were speaking at Halford Bridge, which is my home. It's
and Marrion was in the congregation.
Sitting with my uncle and aunt rather than my parents.
Yes, that's right.
And he was so shy that he sent his father to speak to me afterwards, didn't he?
Yes, that's right.
That's right. And during the week you wrote a letter, which I still have, saying he'd like to meet me, and I thought it was the father who was wanting to meet me, not you, didn't I?
Yes,
The time I ever took Ivan home. That was quite an embarrassment all round, because he had picked me up. He'd come down from Leicester to this village called Trennington, picked me up and taken me out for a meal, and not seen my parents. But obviously I felt I had to ask him if he'd like to come in. So we made a back door entrance, and my mother was in the kitchen ironing her corsets. That was not a good start, was it?
Mind you, I think I was embarrassed going in for the first time, so I didn't notice what she was doing, and she was embarrassed because she knew what she was doing.
Oh, dear. Oh, yes. Yes, your mother thought it was all rather hasty, didn't she? Well, I think my mother did as well, really. But how old were you? 36? 36. He was a man of means. He could afford to put a deposit on a house, you see. Yeah. That's really what the big difference was, wasn't it, really? Yeah. I was living in digs in Birmingham, incidentally the same area of Birmingham where my family are now, so I've never really left the area.
So you could see the potential in Ivan?
Oh dear, the potential, well, I don't know. I think that because I was never a glamorous sort, and so that I hadn't had many boyfriends at all, and so that there comes a stage, you see, I was 24, where you begin to think, oh dear, I better go, well, take the offer while it's available.
I wonder what Ivan thought. You were 35.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
But it worked.
But it worked, you see. So you can't really say anything too much about short courtships, can you? We used to meet in Coventry, didn't we?
Yes, that's right, yes.
I was working in Birmingham, you see.
And I used to come on the bus then, and I.
You didn't come on the bus, I came on the bus,
but
you'd got a car by then.
Yeah.
How long were you courting?
6 months.
Cool. And what year did you get married then? Do you remember?
54.
And where did you get married?
Shipston-on-Stour.
That's the little market town nearest to the village where I was brought up.
I imagine you had a honeymoon. If you did, where did you go to?
We went to the Luttrell Arms at Dunster.
Luttrell Arms at Dunster.
In Somerset.
Yeah, in Somerset.
And then when you got back to, did you live in Leicester then or not?
Yes, yes.
Where was you?
Tennyson Street.
Tennyson Street. We had digs in Tennyson Street. You see, I was new to Leicester. I didn't know Leicester at all. And with a very brief honeymoon like that, we hadn't really.
No.
The operative thing was, I think, that I wanted to get married in May. You wanted to bring it forward so he could get his income tax rebate. We used to be able to get the income tax rebate on, if you. They don't do it that way now. And with his rebate, we bought 6 dining chairs, which we're still using.
Yeah.
And talking about, you were saying money and that, what was the cost when you bought your first house? Which one was that?
That was at Church Road, around the corner there. I wonder how much it cost.
Yeah.
Not a lot, did it?
No.
You can't quite remember.
Would it be 2,700?
About that,
That seems to feel, yes, I think it might have
it
been.
was
Yes, that was a semi, built 1930s, bow fronted semi.
Yeah.
And when did you have your first mode of transport? You know, like before you were married, did you have a car or what vehicle did you have?
Yes,
You had a works car, didn't you?
yes, had a works car.
Oh,
It was a KML 313.
right.
It was a Morris, oh,
8 or 10?
Morris 8, yes.
8, right.
Yeah.
Is that when you worked at Eliquip?
Yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That was with Vic Wilson, and Claude Lamb was your managing director for a long time, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And then I changed it from that to a Morris JKP 315.
And that's the next one, right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the one I went away in for the honeymoon.
Ah, right.
Down to Dunster.
Have you ever have a motorcycle?
Yes, a BSA.
Right.
Yeah.
Before the car?
Yes, but along with, I had only had it for a few months because I went through a hedge at Lewtown, Linford, and it hurt my leg, and I sold it then.
That was the end.
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember, this before that time, I suppose, in Leicester when they had trams? Do you remember the trams?
Yes, trams finishes house and tram terminus.
Right,
Yes, oh, I remember the trams very well.
right.
We used to sit on the back seat, my sister and I, my twin sister, going to Sunday school.
Oh. On holiday, I mean, holidays, have you ever been abroad?
Pardon?
Have you ever been abroad?
Oh yes.
Where was your first time abroad? Where did you go to? Or?
I can't tell you.
You went climbing, wanting to climb the Matterhorn, weren't you,
Yes,
before
yeah.
we were married?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes, he
yeah.
was keen on
I
climbing.
went to
weren't you?
Zermatt
right.
in Switzerland.
Was this both of you, or was this
No, no.
right, when you were
Yeah.
when you were single?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And I climbed the Rimfish Horn. I did climb the Rimfish Horn,
Right.
but I wanted to climb the Matterhorn. We started on the Matterhorn. We went up to the Hernley, Hornli, hut, for the first part of the climb. The weather deteriorated, and the guide said, "Well, we better not risk it," because you know he was responsible for us really, and he said no.
Because of the weather.
No.
Have you both been abroad together, or?
Yes, we did coach trips in Europe, didn't we?
Yeah.
Switzerland and Austria and Italy. And the last time we went abroad was the year I retired, when we went to Israel under the auspices of Leslie Johnson. Leslie and Edith Johnson
Yeah.
led a party in Israel.
Look, see, and listen.
Yes.
Oh, right.
That's what he called
Was
it.
it? Oh, right. They did trips, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, right.
So that we kept the best till last, as it were. That
Yeah.
was 1989.
Oh, right. What about in the war years? What do you remember of the war years? What, you know, are the...
Well, the beginning of the war, I worked for the electricity department in their maintenance department. But when I registered as a conscientious objector, they put me on the highways, and I was on there for few months really, and then the condition of my exemption was that I should keep in the same job that I was in. That was electrical, and so I left the navvy on the road and went to the GC at Coventry, and I was at Coventry in the Blitz when they, you know the night of the November Blitz.
Yeah.
Well, I was there.
Right. Oh, right.
And I came back, and they hadn't hit our factory, so I continued to work at Coventry, but go there each day.
Travel.
And then I think it was a Good Friday, that they hit our factory, GC, and they moved us up to Bradford. So I went to Bradford.
Right. Do you remember any war problems with bombs or destruction?
Only that I stayed with Brother H.H. Thompson's daughter, Muriel, and the night before the big raid, we had quite a lot of raids when I went there, and I remember seeing a big bomb hanging on a parachute, and I thought it was going to hit us, but it fell on the other side and blew a house to bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And while I was in Coventry, I moved from my digs one place to another, and the taxi driver said, "You're going to among the mud and the blood, aren't you?" So I wasn't quite sure whether I ought to go, but I went anyway.
Yeah.
And it was to stay with a sister actually.
What sort of hobbies? I don't know, Marrion, what sort of hobbies have you done, or what are you doing at the moment?
Oh yes, well really my country upbringing stays with me really, and I like walking and gardening and pottering about outside. And we bird watch on a small scale through the window here, don't we?
Well, you cycle to school 13 miles.
Oh yes, that's right. Incidentally, when I was at the secondary school, I had to go out of the county and there was no transport anyhow, and I used to cycle 18 miles a day in most of my secondary school career, from one county into Gloucester, from Dreadington to Chipping Camden. From there I developed a love of buildings really, and stone places, so we go round pretty places, don't we? We're National Trust people, not that we do much about it these days, but
No.
we do like to buildings, hence my little row of cottages.
Yeah.
So that, no, I'm afraid apart from the usual sort of crosswords and jigsaws, which we all do,
Yeah.
not a big hobby person. Like my pets, but I haven't got any left now. Oh dear.
I did a lot of walking, you know. In fact, I went away with Brother Phil Hemingway on a number of occasions for a week.
Walking.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Went up to the Lake District and to Wales.
You know, with who did you play tennis with at the meeting? Who did you partner and who did you play?
Kelvin, John Belsford, Norman Thompson, John Belsford,
Trevor.
Trevor. Oh yes, I played with Trevor a lot. Yeah.
Were you the better or the medium or?
I could play a good game.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying I was
No.
better than any of those, but I could play a good game. Yeah.
Marrion, you mentioned school. I mean, school days, happiest days of your life. How do you rate that?
Yeah, very peaceful, I think. Yes, that's true enough. I was at secondary school in wartime, really, and I think most of during that time there were prisoner of war camps around and about, and lorries full of prisoners would pass by, being taken to farms to work on the farms. We used to have bomb dumps all along the fosse there, big bomb dumps, and I used to cycle to school with my gas mask on my back, and of course the American troops were in evidence, but whereas most of my contemporaries at school were very preoccupied with the American troops, I was very preoccupied with being only 9 miles from Stratford, and spent a lot of my youth outside the stage door at Stratford, and going to the theatre there. That was, but the parents thought it was preferable to American servicemen.
Yeah, true. Ivan, did you know, your school days, anything you can memorable of your school days? Any teacher in particular or any problem?
No, I enjoyed my schooling really. I didn't. We played football then, not rugby.
Ah.
And I used to belong to Went House, which was a purple colour. And one particular master, who was my form master at one time, PM Cross, I got on well with him. I enjoyed my schooling. I did a lot of PT as well, you know, I was very active physically really, more than mentally.
Yeah, more, not so academic, yeah.
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 But
Well, you kept on with your tennis till you were about 56 or more,
yes,
didn't you?
and I swam a lot. We had an open air swimming pool at the Wiggy,
Ah,
and so in the summer I swam in the pool.
yeah.
It was very good.
Favourite piece of music, which, or if you're one or two, have you got any bits of music that
Yeah,
come to mind?
that's a tough one, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Nothing classical or that strikes you, or you perhaps just like all sorts of music?
Well, having had two musician children, we've been educated very widely in the realms of music, haven't we?
Yes, that's true.
And so that we are partial to. Catherine played the piano and the violin, and Andrew played the piano and the cello. So we got and Matty
Played the trumpet.
played the trumpet, but of course he didn't get so far with the trumpet as the others did.
We went
But,
out.
I like Bach and Handel and that era really, up to Mozart. The earlier stuff, rather more
I like-
rock stuff.
I like a lot of music, but it's not my strong point.
No.
I mean, I like Bach, but I do like other
You're prepared
music.
to listen to all sorts, aren't you? I mean, we do.
Yes,
We do
yes.
listen to all sorts, really. As long as it's not too modern.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned about because the children, they were, you know, sort of helped you on that way. Is there any memories that you've got that stand in your mind? There might be a lot, but odd ones that have an experience with your children?
I still have a picture, and I'm not quite sure whose birthday it was, but my father used to play the violin, self-taught, for the Morris dancers in his village. And at the time, he was 80, and he played the violin, accompanied by Catherine, who was 8.
Hey, on the
And
piano.
I do quite have that memory.
Right.
Yes. And I also, yes, well, we do have a lot of memories, I suppose, really, but I do particularly seem to remember that one. It was.
And what about the boys?
Uh,
Anything?
Yes, well, yes. I'm not exactly musical, but I do remember coming home on the bus one day and watching Andrew walking home from school with his cello case, and he'd got the spike out, which of course, should, you know, that supports on the floor, and he was charging another boy up the road with this spike, with this great cello that if the wind got at it, it got an unwieldy thing to hold really for a little lad. He would be about 9, wouldn't he? That was Andrew, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And you used to take them carol singing, didn't you?
Yeah. I used to go around to the brothers and sisters with Catherine, Andrew, and
Well, I don't know, it wasn't so much Andrew,
no,
was it?
Catherine and Matthew.
Because the trumpet
Matthew,
sounded nice out of doors.
And you know, lots of people had opened the windows to listen to these carols being sung by these young people.
With instruments?
Yes, you'd,
Yes,
and
yes.
Matty would have his trumpet, wouldn't he?
Yeah.